Hey, thanks for clicking this video. Just a friendly reminder, this is a clip from my previous live stream. And if you want to catch me live in action so you can join the conversation, just remember I live stream Sunday through Friday. That's 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time. And I'm going to post the time right here because I know some people don't want to Google. So nevertheless, go ahead and enjoy this video. All right. Let's go ahead and bring up my notes. Now, this is going to be a very upsetting segment. And just like Evangelion said earlier throughout the live stream, why are we talking about Mr. Bill Maher again? Trust me, if I could ignore him, that would do me better. That would help me health-wise. Okay, I don't like being upset. I'm going to try to keep my cool. Okay, I can't be losing my stuff every single live stream. But it is important to understand people like Bill Maher are in a position to where they are going to frame any conversation in a way that supports and benefits them, which I understand. Hey, if you want to protect your money and your status, go for it. This is America. You can vote however you like. But when it gets to a point to where now you try to take your agenda that's going to benefit you and now transform it in a way to where you're trying to fearmonger people into not voting their best interest, but now going along with you, which obviously going to benefit you at the end of the day. That's where we will have a problem. Because now we're in situations where poor people, like literally dirt poor people, will protect and fight for and defend Elon Musk, or the richest of the richest of the richest of people. Why is someone poor defending a rich person that could care less about their well-being, let alone their life? Doesn't make anybody sense. But if they fear monger, if they scare them into believing that there's a better way that will benefit the majority of Americans, that will do it. That is the trick right there. Now, let me just go over this because once again, we like to learn things over here. We like to go with some factual information into these conversations. So don't be like that idiot Howard and fast forward through this because you're missing the protein. You're missing the stuff that will make you stronger in these conversations. So when it comes to capitalism, I'm pretty sure we can have a whole list of the downfalls, but this is what I was able to put together for my notes. One, stagnated wages. Don't argue it. Don't be mad at me. Your argue should not be with me. It's with the data. We already know CEOs and these corporations have made almost 300x more than its average worker. Don't be mad at me. Be mad at capitalism. Right, rising housing costs. When you make necessities like housing a profitable business, guess what's going to happen? Hey, there you go. See, I knew you were smart. I knew it. Medicare debt. They don't care about providing extremely affordable, if not free, healthcare to you and I. If they can make a profit, they gonna make a profit. They don't care about nothing else. They just want the profit. And when they know they can profit off of necessities, they got your ass. That's simple. Extreme wealth inequalities. Look at the data. We are living in a broken system that they are maintaining to consolidate the wealth and the power to just a handful of people. And that is not by mistake. That is by design. And guess who's helping that? That is right, capitalism. And last but not least, workers getting less despite higher productivity. Go ahead, Google it. Look up some YouTube videos. This is not coming from my feelings or my vibes. This is all in the data. We are working hard. We are working longer. Some people, crazy enough, are working 2-3 jobs and still can barely make it. So you're telling me, Bill Maher, you rather keep this system that is benefiting you but devastating to majority of Americans and not look for a better way? Hey, like I told you, I'm going to try my best to keep my cool. Let's go ahead and hear what Bill Maher has to say. Let's start at 103 because trust me, I only can hear so much of this guy's voice.
At least the party.
Oh, shoot. You know what? I almost messed this up for everybody. We need these blockers right here. Once again, this is for copyright purposes. I do not need any of my YouTube revenue going to Bill Maher. So we are going to lock this thing up. Once again, this is for copyright purposes. Pull the phone back 2 feet, squint really hard, and you won't see the lines, okay? That simple. All right, let's listen.
The party has a clear choice here, very clear. One wing is saying don't ever use the word socialist again, and one is saying,
I am a democratic socialist.
Clear, huh?
Now, this is going to be a common theme for the next 5 minutes. He is going to conflate a democratic socialist with a socialist. It is a difference, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching this and you're new to my channel, hey, how you doing? Go ahead, subscribe, become a member. Okay, got you. But it is a difference, which once it gets to it, I'm going to break it down like a fraction because that's what I need to do for you to understand that this guy is full of BS, okay? Keep that in mind.
So how do we decide who's right? Well, it turns out we don't really have to flip a coin. We have the evidence. In 2024, 13 Democrats won. In districts, Trump also won. All moderates. This isn't rocket science. All the left-leaning think tanks have done autopsies on 2024, and they all came up with the same message: move to the center. Even the New York Times, which did so much to promote woke politics, now says the partisans are wrong. Moving to the center is the way to win. And Democrats should recognize the party moved too far left on social issues after Obama left office. Gosh, if only someone had been saying that all along.
Okay, what? Hey, Mr. Bill, Mr. Maher. Okay, I'm sorry. What is far left policies? I'm confused because I would like to consider myself as that far left person, a progressive, okay, a democratic socialist myself. And when it comes to like someone like Zohran, when it comes to free busing, is that far left? Is that really radical? Are people really jumping off of buildings and ending their lives because of free busing? I don't know. Once again, I keep hearing people say the radical left and radical left policies, but they never want to kind of elaborate on that, Mr. Bill. So once again, I think you missed an opportunity, but of course, because you're Bill.
But you know, welcome home. Problem is, Gen Z thinks socialism's wired and capitalism's tired and billionaires are what's for dinner. And who can blame them? If you're 30 and still sharing a bathroom with roommates, capitalism isn't working for you. People will reject any economic system where there's strange hair on the soap. No one wants to be approaching middle age and still writing their name on food before they put it in the fridge. So they're quiet quitting capitalism and texting socialism that they're down to fuck. Thing is, socialism will fuck you.
So I'm glad that he just gave it, 10, 15 seconds about how capitalism is failing people with honestly corny jokes that I didn't even get. Okay, sure. But can we be a little bit more honest on why people are questioning or just now turning down the idea of capitalism being the only solution? Like I just said at the beginning, stagnant wages for decades, not just for a few weeks or months or years, decades. That is a problem. People can't support themselves off of one job. That's not just like, oh my God, I'm living with a roommate. No, that is a real issue. Rising house costs. Hey, some of us are not even in the mindset of buying a house because we don't even have jobs that will support a mortgage. So that leads back to job quality. It's all entangled. Education. Some of these jobs you need a higher education. Guess what? I might find a house before I can afford higher education at this point. It's all out of reach, Bill. It's something you need to spend more than 10 seconds in a corny joke to understand. But no, he's going to spend the rest of the 5 minutes talking about something he has no idea what he's talking about. But okay, Bill, hey, it's your show. Go for it.
Because socialism, to put it simply, just doesn't work and has never worked, like Kevin Federline.
I don't even know who that is.
I know the kids think that stuff that happened before their appearance on the planet didn't really happen, but it did. We've run this experiment many times, and the results are always obvious. Here's capitalist South Korea at night from space. Here's socialist North Korea. Yeah. In 1990, Venezuela was wealthier than Poland, but then Poland, finally free of Soviet-style economics, went all in on capitalism. And now their economy is as big as Japan. And people there have high wages, low inflation, cars, vacations, homes.
And, Bill, be honest, because we already talked about this before. If you missed my videos, I'm sorry. But they also have a thing called a mixed economy. Whoa, hey, there's a new term for you to learn. A mixed economy is not just pure capitalism. No country is running off of pure capitalism. No, I'm sorry, Bill. That's not how that works. Once again, your producers or whoever's feeding you this information don't like you. Because if they're feeding you this information, they just don't like you. So, hey, I'm sorry you kind of missed that part, but okay, let's continue.
Wages, low inflation, cars, vacations, homes. Meanwhile, Venezuela traded capitalism for Hugo Chavez's Socialism for the 21st Century, which turned out to be like socialism in the last century or any century, a fucking mess.
Got you.
It turned one of Latin America's richest countries into one of its poorest. Low wages, high inflation, shortages, outages, 8 million people fleeing. If you think New York can somehow reinvent this wheel, you're in for a rude awakening.
Now, hey, you see I slipped that in there? A rude awakening. Oh my God, you're so funny, Bill. Okay, once again, you're conflating socialism with a democratic socialist. It's a difference. Even in the title, it's a difference. But he's still, for some reason, idiots seem to not understand that. Now, let's talk about Venezuela because the history, the facts, dare I say, matter. Here's just a little description in a nutshell. Once again, we can spend hours talking about the fall of Venezuela, but Venezuela's socialist systems worked for a while because high oil prices bought in huge amounts of money, which the government used to fund social programs. That's pretty simple. You use taxes, you use your revenue, then you have socialist programs, which every country has, including America. That's how you fund the programs. But when oil prices crashed, the government ran out of money, mismanaged industries, printed too much money, and caused hyperinflation. This led to shortages, economic collapse, and millions of people leaving the country. It wasn't free education. It wasn't a free busing that collapsed an entire country. It was a government filled with corruption and mismanagement, electing someone who is not ready for the job. A democratic socialist, because once again, these words have meaning behind them. A democratic socialist supports the same goals, fairness, equality, and worker power, but believes all changes should be done through democracy, not by force. They also support keeping a market economy, aka socialism, with strong worker protections, universal public services, healthcare, education, and high taxes on the wealthy. Hey, has nothing to do with getting rid of socialism, Bill. Has nothing to do with Venezuela, Bill. What are we talking about here? Okay, I'm sorry. I need to keep my cool. I made a promise to you guys. I'm not going to lose my stuff, okay? Bill, what are you talking about? Two different situations. Zohran's a democratic socialist running a state. You can't compare that to an entire country ran in a whole different way. Okay. All right, Bill, continue.
Zohran can't make your wishes come true. You're thinking of Zoltar. Democratic socialism is like a dating profile. Things look great until you meet up in the real world. For example, Bernie Sanders, his big thing was always bringing single-payer health care to our country of 340 million. But when liberal, tie-dyed Vermont tried to do it for a population of 626,000, it collapsed like that poor fuck in the Oval Office last week.
Hey, once again, kind of weird joke, but hey, let's talk about it. He brought this up. I didn't know about it. I had to do some research, had to do some reading because, you don't want to be involved in a conversation. You have no idea what you're talking about. It's kind of weird. So I looked this up, and guess what? Once again, it had nothing to do with the socialist policies, the ideas. What held Bernie Sanders and Vermont back when it comes to him trying to enact a single payer within Vermont. Here's the key takeaways. Once again, I urge you to do your own research in this and tell me if you don't get the same information, okay? 1, too expensive for a small state. Things like this in other countries like Canada, the United Kingdom, Taiwan, South Korea, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, that have a single payer or something similar are actual countries with millions upon millions of people within their country. So it wouldn't work for a smaller population because if you know how insurance works, it's bigger with a large group of people, a large pool of people. That kind of helps the cost. Too small for the population, couldn't absorb the federal program, couldn't legally eliminate private employer insurance. So obviously that was be a big stop right there. And taxes required were politically impossible. So, Bill, explain it more and stop trying to use it as a weird, stupid joke. Maybe put a little bit more substance and less jokes, and then you might be getting somewhere.
Bernie, AOC, Mandani are not Democrats. They'll be the first to tell you that. They're Democratic Socialists, and that's a very different thing, and I don't think people know that yet.
Okay, please, Bill, please explain, because you spent like 5 minutes talking about what socialism can and cannot do, but now you say they're Democratic Socialists. Let's see if you properly explain what that is. Here's your opportunity, Bill.
I don't think people realize we already have a lot of socialism. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, unemployment insurance, food stamps, veterans benefits, Pell Grants, COVID-era payments, farm subsidies, disability payments, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, corporate bailouts, and the jobs program that is building weapons the Pentagon doesn't even want.
I wouldn't really count maybe the last two. I don't know if socialism or a democratic socialist would put so much emphasis on corporate bailouts or military spending, but okay, Bill, got you.
That is socialism. Much of it appropriate to soften the edges of capitalism, but the DSA are radicals about this concept, and radical economic policy is always ineluctably married to radical social policy. Their platform, for example, calls for completely open borders. They're for what Biden was doing, but more.
Okay. I swear. It's like fighting words when someone says the radical left or democratic socialists support open borders. Bill, who? Out of the three, you said Zohran, AOC, Bernie Sanders. Out of those three, who is promoting? Who is agenda where they are advocating for open borders? Bill, this is me trying to keep my cool here because I am extremely confused on what you're trying to play here. This is that fear mongering here. Oh, democratic socialists, they want open borders. That sounds like a Republican, right? No context, no details within that statement. Oh, they just want open borders. Really? Who? Bernie Sanders, I would say, is a prominent figure in the democratic socialist movement. When has he ever advocated for open borders, Bill? I don't know either, but you're saying it. Your lips are saying the words, but we all don't know why. He was so close, but yet failed.
You think you're going to win an election on that? This just seems like more extremism at a time when Americans are begging both parties, please, could just one of you act normal? It's either defund the police or military in the streets. Either MAGA's crypto crony capitalism or city-run grocery stores. No, I don't want
So, oh my God. Okay.
that. I want a Democrat who reassures me if you like your Whole Foods, you can keep your Whole Foods. Governor-elect Spanberger once said about Biden's presidency that, quote, nobody elected him to be FDR. They elected him to be normal. Normal. You know, at this year's DSA convention, or as it's commonly known, Commie-Con.
Commie refers to communism, a communist, which is not Zohran or Bernie Sanders. They're democratic socialists, which is, if anything, on the spectrum further away from a communist than. But once again, we're just here to make stupid jokes, right? That's why nobody takes you serious, Bill. They call him a Commie-Con, right? There you go, bro. Okay.
Yes, you had to submit a photo of a negative COVID test to get in. In 2025. Yeah, no one wants to do that shit again. We've had enough of Trump's macho bullshit and also enough of pussy politics. Yeah.
All right, Bill. Unfortunately, that's exactly what you are. That's exactly what you are, and you don't get, unfortunately. You are what you don't get. Hey, take that to the bank. But once again, when it comes to understanding the basics, when people are void of education, when they are void from the facts, people like Bill Maher can easily persuade them in fear-mongering them into voting against their best interests. And that's what Republicans rely on. That's what centrists, neoliberal liberals believe in. That's how they operate. That's why moderates, centrists, whatever you want to call them, don't like progressive policies either. Because like he said, they want things to be normal, that normally benefits them, but continues, because we can look at the stats, we can look at the data, continues to screw regular people over. So hey, if that's what you believe and you want things to be normal, go ahead and vote for it. But I guarantee you, next time, we're going to have somebody way worse than a Trump. That's simple.
Let's see how you do under pressure. I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper, boy. Extra, extra.